Slasher. Slasher. Welcome to the channel, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, Monday night's Slasher Movie Club. Tonight we're going to be talking about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer from 1998. And the question is it an underrated gem or not? It's been a long time since we've had a discussion about I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was like 55 episodes ago. But we did talk about the first one, so definitely wanted to cover this sequel. Real quick, just to say hey to you guys in the chat. We got Paula. What's going on, Paula? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Val is in the chat. What's going on, Val? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Strange Monkey is in the house. What's up, man? I hope you I hope you're doing good, man. Said hello there. I actually heard it in your voice saying it. Oh man. What's up, Brandon? Good to have you here with us. Very, very cool. Let's see. Scott, what's up, Scott? Hope you're doing well. Good to see you, man. Brandon saying, I hope Thanksgiving and It's a Wonderful Knife makes their way to SMC one day. It could, no doubt about it, no doubt. Although now, just to be fair too, I've talked a little bit about both movies, so definitely, Brandon, check out those videos because I talked about 5 points I had about Thanksgiving and also my initial reaction to It's a Wonderful Knife. So very, very cool. Yeah, good to see everyone here, Paul. Absolutely. Now, what we're going to do tonight, guys, definitely want to talk about I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, and also just a little bit of just conversation about it and its impact, not only on the franchise at the time and afterwards, but also in the landscape of the horror genre at that time. Because as we all know, there were a lot of movies that were definitely trying to duplicate the success of the Scream franchise, and rightly so. This film directed by Danny Cannon, and you had Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr., who reprise their roles from the original film as Julie James and Ray. But you also had Mekhi Phifer, you had Brandy, and Jack Black, who was not known at the time, but he definitely made an impression. The film itself, it grossed about 40 something million, had somewhere around a $30 million budget. So it didn't do great at the time. And I think that's why you kind of got the direct to video sequel. I'll always Know What You Did Last Summer, but that was like 8 years later. So interesting stuff with this would-be franchise. And I think it's a film that has a lot of a lot of interesting points. We'll get into that as well. But let me get you guys in the chat. Um, what's up, Mega Giants in the house? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. And definitely, please don't forget to hit the like button. It helps to support not only the channel, but also this stream so it can get out to hopefully some other fans of this movie, the franchise, or just horror in general. So please hit the like button. Now, I just want to go over, some of the main points of the film. We watched it last night, and it was a really, really fun thing to do with the channel members. Definitely, if you haven't yet, consider joining our channel membership. You just hit the join button next to the subscribe button. It really helps out the channel, helps us to do streams like this multiple times a week. But the movie, I think, starts off in a really interesting way because, as usual, you have to focus on a main character. And I think Julie James as a final girl, I think, is very underrated. I think Jennifer Love Hewitt was really good in both of these films. I'm going to jump ahead and just say I thought she was good in this film as well. And you had a really good cast. I really enjoyed this cast. But in the beginning of the film, when you see it for the first time and she's in a church and obviously still dealing with the guilt of what happened in the first movie, I think it was a really good setup. It really, really was. And it showed just how messed up this character still is a year later. And, imagining herself confessing and, of course, having, been there as the killer and just all of that type of stuff. And this was like in the middle of the day that she had this nightmare. She was in class, she's screaming her head off, which was very reminiscent of, multiple movies, most notably Nancy and A Nightmare on Elm Street from 1984. This movie did a few homages to some OG films, which I really, really enjoyed. But we get introduced to Will. He's a new member of the cast, just kind of that average everyday guy. You also have Ray, who decides to stay back. He's still working the docks and all of that. So that was really, first of all, I will say it was an interesting choice. I'm a fan of Freddie Prinze Jr. But so it was an interesting choice to find a way to separate him and Julie in the beginning of the film. I don't know if I really liked it or not. I'll kind of get to that. But she's dealing with a lot of guilt, man, and she's still thinking of the events that happened in the first movie. So it was good to see that through line. But again, there were these multiple moments, especially early in the film, where she's either dreaming with a nightmare or she's just freaked out, and all of these things are going on. And we're introduced to Carla, and I think Brandy was a really good addition to this cast. I thought she did a really good job in the film, not only as being a secondary character who was the best friend of Julie in this film, but I think she stood on her own. And later on in the film, man, they put Randy through the ringer. She was doing a lot of physical stuff, man, and her character was going through a lot of stuff. So, anyways, we get introduced to her sneaking around the house. You don't do that. You don't do that. So, um, Mega Giant saying it's still an underrated gem. I Still Know What You Did Last Summer is a good movie. This is actually the first horror movie that I watched in theaters, which was a good experience. Well, that's really cool. I think we'll always have a soft spot for those films that are, early in our fandom, but especially if it's the first horror movie you saw in the theater, man, that's pretty cool. I think that's really awesome. Um, Paula was saying I liked the cast, but wasn't sure about the island setting. Okay. All right. All right. I think the island setting was cool because it gave the film a different look, it gave it a different feel. Plus, it made things plausible because they were in a place where they couldn't just run away. Because that's always the thing we talk about in these movies, right? We always say, hey, run. As long as you are physically capable, run away. So, yeah. Jack's in the chat. Jack coming in with a super chat, $10 super chat. Thank you so much, man. Much appreciated. Can't wait for the interview this month. You rock night. Better see an autographed poster of a certain film on your wall behind you next time air. Okay. I don't know, man. We'll see. I change up. I change up my posters every once in a while. We'll see, but I have a certain rule for what I do put up, and it's based upon how many times I see it. So who knows? Who knows? But man, thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. Much appreciated for the support. And yeah, let's play something for you here. Here we go.
But listen up now. This is serious. When you're tempted to do something wrong, even if the reasons are good, think twice, because you never know how things will turn out. You might be getting yourself and everybody else into a whole lot of trouble. Do what's right, and you can't go wrong. Take it from me, Mr. T.
There it is. There it is. Thanks so much, man. Much appreciated. Paul is a fan of Brandy. Yeah, we had a couple people that were really giving her a lot of praise in her role last night. I think she was good in it. It would have been cool to see her in some other horror. Same thing with everyone. I think that with Jennifer Love Hewitt and obviously Freddie Prinze Jr., they have a certain charisma, obviously, and I think it's too bad we didn't get to see them in a lot more of these types of projects. But yeah, Philip, what's going on, Philip? Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well. Um, let's see. Maga's in the chat. What's up, Maga? I pity the fool. That's right. Val saying I overall enjoyed this movie. Yeah, I think it has a lot of good stuff in it. Elm Street's Last Brat. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Saying loved Brandy in this role. Agreed. Agreed. I think she was very unsung. And she wasn't just like a token cast member. You get what I'm saying? I think she added quite a bit, um, not only to the movie, but as far as just the plot, right? And she was smart. That was one thing about her and Julie. I appreciated they were both smart. And we saw as the movie went on, Julie dealing with, just hallucinations. But one thing I wanted to pick out, especially in this shot here when they're in the club, just trying to, dance their worries away for Julie, dance her guilt away. Great camera shots in this film. You know, they really they really took their time to set up not only Jennifer Love Hewitt, but also Carla and Ty and Will. Everyone in this film, I think they had great camera shots. They really, really did. So credit to them. It's a good looking film. It really is. But we get to a big part of the plot, and that's when they win their trip to the Bahamas. And listen, I'm not gonna lie. The first time I saw this, I was like, "Wait a minute, Rio isn't the answer. What's going on?" How many of you guys picked up on that? It was crazy stuff, man. But it was a cute scene because it really helped to give you a sense of how close these two people are. With Carla and Julie. They're really good friends. You could feel the chemistry between Jennifer and Brandy, and I thought that was very important because, again, with these movies, you gotta care. You gotta care about the cast. Of course, Julie was asked to go on the trip with Carla, and she can bring 4 people. So Carla was like, "Yep, you better call Ray." You call Ray, Freddie Prinze Jr. Again. I'm a fan of him. I think he's really good in this role. But I do have some thoughts about his role in this particular movie. I'll get to that soon. But he's kind of playing hardball with her, saying, "Well, you didn't want to hang out with me before. Now you want me to come with you to the Bahamas." It's like, dude, don't be an idiot. Don't be a freaking idiot. And his buddy there. And I forgot the guy's name. He's a great actor. I love seeing him in a bunch of stuff. We talked about him in Identity several weeks ago, and he's like, "You're an idiot. You better go on this trip." And again, just some interesting character stuff. I think it builds up a lot of what the movie becomes. Let's see. Jack coming in with another $10 super chat. Thank you, Jack. All right. That's what I'm talking about, man. I appreciate it. It really helps us out. Uh, saying, can we as a horror community agree that I'll always know what you did last summer and the series were complete crap? I meant what? Not air. You got me with that at the end. So you're not a fan of this series or franchise. You got to let me know, Jack. Let me know. But for me personally, yeah, I'll always know what you did last summer. Yeah, that was just like, whoo. you know, and I didn't watch the TV series or the streaming series, but these first two films, it this is a good example of where a franchise can take a wrong turn, and I don't mean the movie. I'm talking about an actual wrong turn, and that's why I always say to people, when we talk about some of these franchises, new and old, especially legacy franchises, and you'll have some people say, "Well, I'm tired of this franchise. I'm tired of that franchise." Well, that's fine. There's no problem with that. But I look at it where if they're still making good movies and you're still seeing cool stuff, I appreciate it because franchises can die or maybe never even get started. And I think I Know What You Did Last Summer is a good example of that. They had all the ingredients for a long running franchise, but just yeah. And who knows what they're going to do with the quasi sequel reboot or whatever they're calling it. But anyways, Jack, thanks so much. Appreciate you coming in and supporting, being generous like that. So let's play one more for you. Here we go.
Don't you know that this feeling is only yours and mine? Don't you know that this love would last for all time?
And there it is. There it is, man. Thank you so much. Seriously. I appreciate it. Um, yeah, Philip, I was scared what they were gonna do with Brandy as well. Yep, I was too. Because you never know, right? You never know. Gina, what's going on? Gina's in the chat. Good to see you. Let's see. Yeah, there was some decent singing. Yeah, there was. Dan's in the chat. What's going on? Saying sorry I missed it. Have a good one, guys. Oh, okay. Catch you later, Dan. In in and out. All right. May is in the chat. What's up, May? Good to see you. Dre, what's up, Dre? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I haven't seen you in a while. All right. Let's see. Just make sure I'm caught up with you guys. And thank you, Val. Much appreciated. Um, we'll continue to throw this out there uh, again and again and again. But please remember to go to the homepage, hit the like button on the upcoming streams. It helps our streams get out there, guys. And if you guys aren't used to it by now, I don't know what to say because we put our streams up usually a few days in advance, sometimes even further in advance for that very reason, so that you guys can know what's going on and hopefully uh, make plans to join us. So thank you, Val. I appreciate it. But this was a great scene too, where you had the guys just hanging out in the car. I do think that for Freddie Prinze Jr., I wish that they gave him some more to do. Um, obviously they found a way to make it so that it wasn't going to happen. So, but you've got Ray and Dave here in the car hanging out. To go and drive to Boston to surprise Julie. They're singing, which was this was a funny scene. I really enjoyed it a lot. But of course, it's a very short scene because next thing you know, they see a car in the middle of the road. Now, when we were doing this for the watch party, I sat there and said, no, don't get out of and obviously Ray's a good guy. But after the events of what happened, it's like, why would you get out of your vehicle and check on this accident? We've been here before, but they had to find a way to make all this happen so he could be separated longer from Julie. It's a mannequin, and next thing you know, he's trying to tell Dave, "Get out of there!" Oh, and there's Ben. Poor Dave, man, he got messed up. But what was even worse is Ben gets in the truck and he runs Ray right off the road. It's a pretty cool looking scene. Ray gets thrown off the side into a ditch, rolling around, gets knocked out. He ends up in the hospital. So again, that's how they get Freddie Prinze Jr. out of this for a while. And I kind of struggle with that plot point because I enjoy his character, and I think that him and Jennifer Love Hewitt together, they make a really good uh, they have a really good dynamic. So, of course, Julie doesn't know what's going on with Ray and is like, I've been trying to call him and he's not answering. And, Carla's like, forget him. We got to go. She invites Will to come along to be Julie's, quasi date. So I was like, ah, shit. But here's one thing I was talking about last night in the watch party when we watched this, and you guys tell me what you think. Wouldn't Julie think that there might be something wrong? Because it's not like Ray wouldn't answer her. Because the last time they talked on the phone, she said, "Try to make it for me. Do it for me." And he's like, "I'll try." He wasn't angry. Well, he was originally, but you know, he would have answered the phone at least, right? He wouldn't have ghosted her. So that was kind of a little bit of a plot point that was kind of like, I don't know, man. But anyways, uh real quick too, Jack's coming in again with a super chat. Much appreciated. $20 super chat, man. All right. Wow. Thanks, man. Seriously. We appreciate your support. We really, really do. Thank you. Saying it said air on the first super chat, and I love the franchise. Oh, okay. I love the franchise. I hate the Amazon Prime series. Gotcha. Gotcha. I'll always know what you did last summer and Urban Legends 3 are basically the same damn movie. That's a good point. That is a good point. No doubt. Yeah, Urban Legend has also kind of had an interesting trajectory as a would-be franchise, because I think both of these franchises had really good first films. Obviously trying to duplicate the success of Scream, but they did their own things, right? At least I feel as though they did, and I think they had their own identity to a large degree. When you're talking about the slasher subgenre, it's tough to differentiate yourself, and I think both of these franchises um, did a commendable job to do that. But then the sequels, they just totally destroyed these franchises. And I'm not talking about this one. I'm talking about I'll always know what you did last summer. So, um, bro, thank you for that. Much appreciated. Seriously. And this one is for you.
Baby, can you dig your man? He's a righteous man.
Don't let go.
Yeah, man. That never gets old. But it's a good point, Jack. Seriously. Um, you know, Bloody Mary. Ugh, yeah. I can't even remember most of it. It was one of those movies that I was just like, ugh, you know. But thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you. Scott saying the only one that was good was the OG. I heard they were going to do another sequel, bring it back Freddie and Jennifer, but Freddie kept arguing for more money. Like he's really still in demand these days. Well, here's the thing, man, and this is similar to what we've been talking about recently. Not to go on a tangent, but obviously we've been talking a lot recently about the state of Scream, and we're still kind of referencing the pay situation for Nev, and now we've heard the information about Jenna and reportedly what she wanted to get paid. I can't knock any of these guys, a lot of times, and we know this as film fans more than anyone. There are so many actors and actresses that get their shot and they make the most of it and it turns into something great. And then there are those that never get their shot that should have. So, for any of these folks trying to get as much money as they can, I mean, in the realm of, you know, eh, of what makes sense, right? Um, I don't yeah, I don't belittle them for that because I'd be doing the same thing, you know. And the thing of it is that as far as the state of this franchise, I mean, Freddie and Jennifer are the franchise at this point, right? So, but it is what it is. It's interesting to see that part of the business and the behind the scenes. It's so interesting. Val saying I'm quitting the band. I know that was a good scene with Ray and Dave. I liked it. I really did. I wish it was a longer scene because I think they had a pretty good dynamic as well. Some fun stuff. Mega Giants, they really ramped up the kills in this sequel. The kills are pretty good. I think they're very, very good in this film, and we'll get to some more of those. The kill of Dave was really, really good. It looked good. The practical work was good. Should have stayed in the damn car after everything you went through. You should know better. Exactly. Yep. Yep. Brandon saying, even with Julie's supposed matchup, she still felt like a third wheel. Yeah, I mean, she didn't want to be with Will, and Will, he was that nice guy. He was that nice guy. So Jackson, Prom Night 2 and Urban Legends 3 had literally the same script. Yeah, yeah. I haven't seen Prom Night 2 in so long. Oh my gosh. I remember as a kid, I was so excited to see that movie because I had seen the trailer for it, and plus back then, even titles of movies would sometimes catch my imagination, Prom Night 2, Hello, Mary Lou, So, Russell, what's going on? Good to see you. All right. So now we've got the four of them going on this trip to the Bahamas. Will is nervous on the plane, which I was just like, stop being a bitch. I was just playing. Last night was a fun watch party, guys. If you weren't there, it was fun. But yeah, some people do get nervous on a plane. He definitely got nervous on the plane, like super nervous, right? And then of course you got Ty, who's seasick. So it was funny, making the guys look like this as they're heading towards the island. But once they get to the island, they're told that there's no way on or off this island. And the storm's coming in. They don't know it yet, but there's a storm coming in. So interesting stuff. You get Jack Black in there. I'll never forget when I first saw this movie. I was just thinking, who the fuck is this guy? you know? And here's the good thing, because I do think Jack Black is very talented. Um, his character stood out, right? Like it was over the top, it was corny, it was ridiculous, but it stood out. And even to this day, when I think about the movie, and I hadn't seen the movie in quite a few years until last night, but I still think about his character, right? And his character wasn't even a prime character. So it says a lot about Jack Black making the most of the opportunities that he got, and now look at him, great stuff. We also got Jeffrey Combs, man. I mean, we're talking about a really good cast here. If you guys have been around for any amount of time, you guys should know that I'm a huge fan of Jeffrey Combs. Just so many great roles. Big fan of his work in Reanimator, the stuff he did with Stuart Gordon, From Beyond, Castle Freak. So many great roles. I mean, he's just one of those amazing character actors that always stands out. Doesn't matter if he's the lead or if he's like a supporting character, like in this film, he always stands out. So, big fan of Jeffrey. Big fan. Let's see. Hey, we got Coriander in the chat. What's going on? Makes you wonder, is he really scared of flying? Right? I know. He just kept going on and on about it. It's like, come on, right? Good to see you, hon. Good to see you. Russell saying, really enjoyed this film, a first watch last night. And that's awesome too, man. I was glad you got a chance to see it. Um, and that's one thing we like to do with this particular series is give folks a chance to either see things for the first time or maybe get a chance to have a conversation like this, I should say, about a film they haven't seen in a while or maybe haven't talked about, in a while with other people, Brandon saying prior to this, Jack Black was only seen in God Help Us, Never in This Story 3. This was a better role. It was. Ah, yeah. J- Jack Jack Black was a bomb ass stoner. He was. He was funny. He was very funny. I enjoyed him. He and we were laughing last night when we watched it, you know. Whatever you need, Titus got it. That's right. That is right. Um he was funny. That's all I can say, man. That's all I can say. All right. So at this point, we've got the cast is realizing that this big trip wasn't as awesome as maybe they first thought it was going to be because there's going to be this huge storm. It's closed down season, barely any staff. So it's like, oh man, you can start to see how this is all going to go. You've got like one of the last bartenders in the place, Jennifer Esposito, playing that role, which it was fun as Nancy, and it was kind of like, well, why is she still hanging around? So this movie did kind of give you some different characters that you were a little curious about, which I enjoyed that as well. They're doing some karaoke. when I first saw this movie, I said, "Now wait a minute, is Brandy gonna sing? Because come on, we know she can sing." But they had Jennifer Love Hewitt, but it wasn't bad. But of course, she's still like it was cool, man. Throughout the whole movie, she's just dealing with the guilt. She's seeing stuff real and also imagined, right? And it was cool to see that and see her character deal with that. That's something interesting for a final girl. We talked about this last night. I'll talk about it some more. But I think that when you talk about a final girl dealing with the guilt of an event that actually happened that was wrong, like they were wrong in the first movie to do what they did, right? And she's still dealing with it. So you got Titus. You got, and this was a really funny scene with Jack Black and one of the deckhands, and it's just like, come on, man. He's just trying to get him stoned, man. But it's bad news for so many people. The housekeeper, this was a good kill. Seeing Ben in the shadows behind. I think they did a great job with the silhouette, you know. They did a great job with that. Some great camera shots. All this is happening while Carla and Ty are in the pool. Ty is he's trying to put the moves on. He's getting frustrated the whole movie. It's like, geez, man. Mekhi Phifer was okay in the movie. His character was just so, but I mean, he did what he was supposed to do. I enjoyed him more in the final act. But again, you got Julie, and this time it's one of those scenes where they're building up the suspense, which I thought was really, really cool. And seeing that dead body in the closet, it was like, uh-oh, there you go. She runs out, and of course, nobody believes her. Nobody believes her. And you've got another one of these red herrings, one of the other folks that are working at the place, Estes, and he's using voodoo. And it's like, okay, now we're having voodoo in this movie too, man. They've got everything going on. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Um, and you got more stuff with Ben. And of course, we got to say rest in peace to Titus. That was a pretty gnarly scene too, man. He throws that hook into his hand, and I was getting like Friday 13th 4 vibes with Crispin Glover. And then of course, he's like, "Don't do that, don't do that." He grabs the shears and stabs him in the chest. Some pretty cool deaths, man. Some pretty cool deaths in this movie. People were getting aced out, you know, aced out big time. Let me just catch up to the chat too. Let's see. Gina saying, "I'll catch the replay." Okay, Gina, catch you later. Hope you get some rest and have a good night, or at least a night over here. It's nighttime over here. Um, let's see. Jack saying, "Night, are you screenshotting as the movie goes along?" No, no, I wouldn't be able to do that, man. When we live stream, I well, I'm talking for myself, but I know this is true of other creators that go live. I've got multiple screens open at the same time. I'm trying to concentrate on the chat. I'm reading the chat. I'm putting it on the screen. There's so many things going on. I wouldn't be able to do that. Um, no, I wouldn't be able to do that. It'd be nice if I could do something like that, but no. Um, Will gave off major Roman vibes from Scream 3. Hmm, I could kind of see that. I could see that. Yes, he was in Demolition Man, Russell. He was. He's a really good actor. So many roles that you've seen him in. It's not even funny, man. It's not even funny. That's why I'm saying, and it's Bill Cobbs who played Estes, who was in Demolition Man, but he's been in so many things. One of those actors that really good, really good career, really good career, even in Night in the Museum, So, but we had to say rest in peace to Jack Black. And then all of this is happening, guys. And I was thinking this too, even when I first saw the movie, but damn sure thought about it last night. It's like, where is Ray? What is up with Ray? Get this guy back in the game, right? So he gets a gun when he pawns the ring he was going to give Julie. But then you got the famous tanning bed scene, which, listen, man, I'm gonna tell you what, Final Destination 3 cemented it for me. Like, no one should ever use a tanning bed again. Carla finds a body. It's like now stuff is starting to hit the fan, right? This is where the movie really picks up the intensity and the gore and everything, the blood and guts. So now everybody is on the same page finally, because before they were just thinking that Julie was crazy, she's hallucinating stuff, and it's, but now it's like, okay, we've all seen the bodies. We got to get the hell out of here. And she reveals to all of them, and especially Carla, what had happened, what they did, which I thought was a good scene. Again, it's something that's unique, right? Because, yeah, they did a wrong thing in the first movie, and she was a part of it, you know? So, anyways, they're all on the same page. They're trying to figure out what to do. They think Estes is behind it because of the voodoo. And he's like, no, I was doing that to protect you. And of course, he tells the story. And so now it's like, uh-oh. And it's like, Ray, get to the fucking island. Come on. He charters the boat. They go to the grave site because now we realize that Ben had a family, and it's like, okay, well, this is interesting. And Julie, of course, sees that one of the grave sites, one of the headstones, has her name on it. Pretty creepy stuff, man. Pretty creepy stuff. But this was all good. The atmosphere of the film. I know. Paula earlier said she wasn't a big fan of the island setting, but I thought it was great because it was just different, right? I think they. It would have been nice if they could have used it even more. I know they had a certain budget, but I think it'd have been interesting if they could have used it even more. Mayan working hard in the chat. Thank you so much. Reminding people, take a second, hit the like button on the streams for Slayfest. We got Slayfest coming up this week on Wednesday night. It will be on our good friend Steven's channel. And then on Thursday night, we'll be back here, and we're going to continue to do Wednesdays and Thursdays for a couple of weeks. And guys, we really would appreciate that support. It's a big thing to do for Steven and myself and Coriander, and to schedule it out and plan it out similar to what we did with Halloween Fest 2. So if you guys could definitely hit the likes on the streams, share out the streams, get the word out, that would be great. So many of you guys have social media. I know it because I talk to a lot of you guys on social media, and it would really help us out because when we do these types of things, trust me, it's not easy to see it, from the beginning to the end because there's so much going on, the planning, the scheduling, and so forth. And we do that while we do life, regular life. So, but thank you, May, for putting that out there. Much appreciated. Yeah, and then we'll also be doing P2. Yeah, it's some good stuff coming up. Yeah, good stuff coming up. But it's the reveal, guys. This is the big reveal for the film as we get closer and closer to the end. This is the third act, of course. And, you know, for Carla, for Julie, and for Ty, they're just trying to figure out what they got to do, and they can't go anywhere. That's the thing. They can't go anywhere because they're stuck on the island. Obviously, it's storming. You've got Jennifer Esposito's character of Nancy, who she also is like, what's going on? I don't understand. Bodies are turning up everywhere. So now it's like, crap. The kill for Ty, that was pretty gnarly because it was out of nowhere. It was out of nowhere. I don't even know how that kill makes sense, but it was well done though, and it was pretty shocking. And for a moment, you really thought he was going to survive, but no. Mekhi Phifer is taken out. This was a great chase scene though, and I think for anyone that is a fan, for I Know What You Did Last Summer, um, I think everyone can agree it has one of the greatest chase scenes of all time. Shout out to Sarah Michelle Gellar. But I do think that this sequence was very good. There was a lot of tension in it. So you've got Nancy and Julie and Carla who they go up into this attic area and they're on the beams and stuff. And Ben, of course, breaks through. He's coming after them, and him and Carla fall through one of the glass panes down into the next floor. So it's like it was really some cool action stuff. This was a great section for Brandy, I thought. I think Carla really cemented herself in this movie in these scenes because she was doing a lot of physical stuff. She was arguably doing more physical stuff than Julie as a character. So I thought it was really, really well done. But as soon as she was on the top of that glass pane, man, I knew she was going to fall right through it, and she did. You have the scene where she's trying to get out of the door. You've got Ben chasing them. Will comes back, and even when I first saw this is one thing I want to talk about for a second. Even when I first saw this movie, before all of this, Will was already a suspect anyways, but this was like, come on, man. As soon as he was kind of out of the picture for a while, I was just like, yeah, it's got to be him, man. Of course, he comes back and he's like, hey, I'm back, and she's like, you got blood, and he's like, it's not my blood, and it's like, there it is. There it is. Now, what I want to know from you guys, what did you think of this reveal? Was it effective? Did you like it? Or one thing I think is too bad about it is that, and even people last night during the watch party, they were referencing obviously Skeet's reveal. And I think that unfortunately for this movie, it just, you're going to fall in line with Scream, right? I think what would have been more interesting is if Will wasn't a part of the plan, right? He could have still been Ben's son. Maybe he didn't know Ben was his father, and then maybe his father would be explaining it to him, saying, you're my son, killer, and then Will has to make a choice. Just something to change it up a little bit, because at this point, as a character, he has the turn, right? And Matthew Settle, who played the character, he did a pretty good job of, acting crazy, like, yeah, it was me, and I set it up. I did the radio voice and all that. But it was just kind of like, to me, it was a little bit of kind of a pale imitation of Billy. It was good for what it was, but, you know, just too close. We're talking about Scream in 96. This movie was from, 98. So it was just too close for me. Too close. What do you guys think? Let me know. Let me know what you guys think about it, because I think it's an interesting topic. It really, really is. Uh, Jack, I did not see that yet. I'll have to double check, Jack. I'm catching up on tons of stuff. And yes, Kay's in the chat. We got her happy birthday to Tony Todd, the Candyman. Yeah. Val saying the third act was awesome. Yeah, I think it really was. I really think it was. Jack asking, did Will make any kills? Well, I think that's kind of up to interpretation. I don't think so. At least not any of the major ones that we just talked about. I don't think so. But there could be an argument made, possibly. Paul is saying I liked the reveal. Okay. Brandon saying the reveal itself was pretty predictable. The hammy acting sold it though. It was hammy, yeah. It was hammy, but it was what it was. Val saying I truly did not expect that reveal. Okay. Yeah, very cool. They had to do something good and different from the OG. Now, I will say, I do think that it was good in that sense. I do think it was good in that sense that this movie was a lot different from the first film. So that's a good point, Scott. I think they did a great job of separating it from that first film quite a bit. Mega Giant saying that Will killed Estes. Yeah, that's okay. Good point. Yeah, and I agree with that. I do agree with that. So, we're at this point. Ben, um, he's also going to kill Nancy too, and obviously this was an homage to Friday the 13th, the old shish kebab kill, which was too bad. I was like, ah man. And then we have the final confrontation with Julie and Ben and Will, and Ray shows up out of nowhere. Ray gets there, which okay. I mean, I'm glad he finally got into the action, but he's got his gun. He's fighting with Will. And then at the last second, when Ben is going to kill Ray, Ray moves out of the way and kills his own son. Crazy stuff. Julie grabs the gun, shoots Ben 80,000 times, a lot more than 6 times, but not in the head. Shoot the head, bro. We were yelling that last night, but it was a great scene and some great action. I love the way that they filmed it and how everything played out. And again, some really cool camera work, man. Some great shots, some great shots. But it's over, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself, she better be alive. She better be alive. And sure as hell, Brandy made it, so that was good. So Carla survived. I thought that was really cool. She went through a lot, man. Physically, they had her doing a lot in that third act, and I thought it was really, It was really cool. She was basically like a final girl too. I know our good friend Carrie from Carrie Crave Cinema, a huge fan of this film, and has said on multiple occasions, not only is she a big fan of Julie as a final girl, but said Carla's a final girl. And I agree. Let me know what you guys think. We got a foreign horror in the chat. What's going on? Saying, hey, Knight, hope you're good, bro. I am. Hope you are good as well. Hope you are good as well. I'm hanging in there. Jack saying, do you think the actor who played Ben Willis was in the slicker suit throughout the movie, or was it a stunt double? It wouldn't surprise me if there was a stunt double, at different times. That wouldn't surprise me at all. But I don't know for sure. I don't know for sure, but it would make sense that there was a stunt double, um, just to make sure that the actor doesn't get hurt. So, Brandon saying the only plot hole being how did they set this up through a radio station to lure Julie and company out of there? Does he own a radio? Well, I think that I mean he could have definitely just made that call and just pretended. It's not like at least in the movie they didn't check like a caller ID or anything. So he could have just called. He showed that he could do the radio DJ voice and all of that. So there's no doubt that he could have just pulled it off like that. In my mind, you guys let me know what you think. Um, Elm Street's Last Brass saying, Final Girl, yes, indeed. Yes, yes. And yes, Kay, Carla did survive. Carla did survive. But at the end, with these films, just like in the first film, you have your ending, your stinger. And I thought it was pretty cool because you see Ray and Julie together, which is how it should have been. And again, I just think that Freddie Prinze should have been in it more. I would have liked to seen him in it more. I think there were ways they could have done it. But I, I guess I understand what they were trying to do, setting up Will and so forth. But poor Julie, I mean, this chick, maybe that's why they didn't have her come back as far as a character because she was just so guilt ridden, right? Walking through the house, thinking that she hears something, and of course, at the end, seeing the reflection of Ben, he grabs her by the ankles, pulls her underneath the bed. It's a great shot, though. I will say this: even these fake out scenes, right? Because this is like the third or fourth fake out in the film. Might have been five because you had in the beginning when we first meet Carla. We have the dance club. We have when Carla was drying her shoes. We have the karaoke. We have this scene. So there's like five of these scenes, and I think all of them were done very well, very well. And again, Jennifer Love Hewitt in this role, I think she was so good in this role. Definitely an underrated final girl, even by my own estimation. When I talk about final girls, a lot of times I forget about Julie James. I don't think it's a reflection of the character because I think the character is great. I think it's a reflection on the franchise and how it just took a nosedive after this film. This might be one of the best examples, maybe even more so than Urban Legend. Because I think the first film and this film were both really good, solid, and then it just was, ooh, I mean, we went off a cliff. Let's see. Philip also agreeing that Carla is a final girl. I definitely think so. Yeah. Val also saying, I would have loved more Freddie in this movie. I agree. I think Freddie Prinze is really charismatic. I think his character is good. And I think they should have found a way to have him in the movie more. Like, even if, I don't know, like, even if he had gotten to the island earlier and maybe had a couple of altercations with Ben or with Will, like we didn't know it was Will. Maybe Will was, disguising his identity or whatever. I just think it would have been cool to see Freddie Prinze more in this movie than we did. I think that's one downside for me. Let's see. Jack saying too bad at the time Jennifer was the definition of the female womanizer to men. Really? Oh, okay. Wow. But yeah, but beyond all that, I mean, just talking about this as a movie though, um, I agree, Val. Julie gets no love as a final girl. Hopefully, some folks like Russell, first time seeing this film, you know, some people will start to look at her more as a final girl, a good final girl. I hope so. I hope so. Let's see. We got Rachel in the chat. Hey, Rachel. Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Very cool to see you here. We're nearing our the end of our conversation for I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. Rachel, let me know if you're a fan of this movie, if you've seen it, what you thought of it. Also, what do you think of Julie James as a final girl? We've been talking a little bit about it. I think she's very underrated as a final girl. Yeah, I think she's really underrated. Dre saying Carla can never be forgotten. Her chase scenes were the coolest. They were. That's what I was saying. Like she did a lot of great stuff in that third act. I think she did. She was even more physical than Jennifer Love Hewitt, and so that's why I think she showed herself to be a strong final girl. She really did. Jason, what's going on? Good to see you. Hope you're doing well. Let's see. Just to catch up. Scott's saying Carla is not a final girl. Wow. Okay. All right. Yes, and definitely hit the like button if you haven't hit the like button already. That would be awesome. Much appreciated. And also check out our upcoming streams. That would be great. Hit the like button on those. Rachel saying, I love this film. I love that it doesn't take itself too seriously and has more fun than the original. It definitely had more fun than the original. That's well said. And I liked the tone of it. This is one of those movies that's an enjoyable movie. You just put it on, get your popcorn or your pizza or your favorite snack and drink, just kick back and relax. This is a good example of a well done horror film, especially when we talk about slashers, in which, slashers could go one way or the other, right? So this is a really good example of it. So let's give this thing a score. You guys know how we do this. We have our rating system for Slasher Movie Club. We've got 4 badges, we think the film is excellent, that it's worth seeing for any horror fan or any fan of slashers. We've got 3 badges, meaning that we think the film is good. We've got 2 badges, meaning that we think the film is so-so. You could take it or leave it. And of course, we have the dreaded 1 badge, which means we do not like this film at all. We think it's not good, aka we call it dark territory, aka blood cult, aka student bodies, aka don't go in the woods alone, aka good night, God bless. And those were films. If you haven't checked out those episodes, check out those episodes because we we had fun for it. We had fun with it. Coriander is giving it a 3 badges. Okay. All right. Very, very cool. And thank you again, Val, reminding people about Slayfest. Really appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Rachel saying, I think Julie steps it up in this film and is a more of a fun final girl here. I have to admit, I do prefer Helen in the original. Yeah, and I think that's the thing about the original. I think Helen was such a good character, and Sarah Michelle Gellar is just such a great actress. She doesn't get credit she deserves, but Helen was so good in that first film is that it kind of offset Julie as a character. But I think Julie really steps it up here. She really shows that she's got bravery and courage and so forth. So Brandon is going with 3, saying really enjoyable. Elm Street's Last Brat going with 3. Phil is going with 3. Val is going with 3. Definitely has rewatchability for me. The new characters were really good. I agree. Russell is going with 3. Kay is going with 3. Let's see. Rachel is going 3. 3 hooks from me, solid and fun. All right. Mega Giants is going with 3. Everyone's, you know what? And I'm going to go with 3 as well, guys. I think this is a good film. Let me tell you why. It's got a good cast. It's got good kills, practical work. You've got a good final girl. You got some physical scenes. You got tension. You've got really good cinematography. You got great music. You got great music. And when you think about it as a sequel, it did something that we always want sequels to do. We want it to feel like a continuation, but we don't want a rehash of the first film. And this was definitely not a rehash of the first film. This was about a character dealing with the guilt from the first film and basically putting her friends in danger because of it. So we got threes across the board. Oh, Scott saying this was a bit too silly for me. Okay. Wow. All right. Scott's giving it two. All right. That's fair. But I do think it's a good film. And trust me, I've seen bad films, especially in the slasher subgenre. This is our 108th episode, I think, maybe 110. Anyways, but we've gone through a lot of movies that were bad, and I don't think that this is bad. It's got a lot of great qualities to it. Um, Rachel saying yes, lots of love for SMG. Agreed. Sarah Michelle Gellar is awesome, no doubt. Jack saying the last shot of the film sucked though, only due to it never getting a resolution. I know. Well, yet. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. Fingers crossed. I'd love to see these characters come back. I really would. Rachel saying, and of course, the cherry on top, it has Jack Black. That's right. That's right. Like I was saying earlier, Jack Black, he was silly, he was over the top, he was corny, but he was memorable, and I think that his role, although it was over the top and corny and even silly, it didn't detract because this film is pretty dark if you think about it. When you think about what Julie's going through, it's a pretty dark film. So it balanced it out with a character and some lighthearted moments. A character like Jack Black and lighthearted moments. I think it balanced it out. So yeah. All right, guys. Well, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad that you guys uh, were able to join and let us know what you thought of this film and if it was an underrated gem or not. I think it is an underrated gem. I truly do. I truly do. Rachel saying so many bad slashers out there. This isn't one of them. I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. Let me explain this to you guys, and I sometimes I'll do this, especially when we rate films. We've seen films for slasher movie club specifically, but of course I've watched movies since I was a little kid, so we're talking a long time. Um, there's some films that it just doesn't look good at all. The camera work is really bad. The acting is really bad. You don't have a good story at all, or maybe it's a carbon copy of something else. And I'm not trying to rag on those films because some films just don't have the budget that they need. And sometimes you have directors or people, whether it's behind or in front of the camera with little to no experience. This film had a lot of experience in this story as far as the characters and so forth. So I think it's a good film. I really, really do. May saying now three is a different story. It's so true. Three is a bad one. That's a good example of a bad one. Yeah. Philip saying it's not perfect, but it's a fun time. Well said. Well said. Definitely an underrated gem. I think so, guys. I really do. I'm glad, put it this way, I'm glad I watched it. I hadn't seen it in a number of years. I kind of forgotten about it. You guys have to understand. I mean, I'm watching movies all the time, literally every day. I'm watching something, right? So, um, you lose track of some films for whatever reason. This is a film I kind of lost track of, but it was fun. Like I said, this is a good one to just throw on and just kick back and relax. So, all right, guys. Well, that'll do it for Slasher Movie Club. I much appreciate you guys being here and hanging out and giving your thoughts on I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. A lot of stuff coming this week. Tomorrow night we'll be back for Battle World. So please join Coriander, me, and Eric and Kill. We're going to have a good time and have some fun talking about two really good slashers. I mean, really good. And that's going to be a good battle. So check us out tomorrow night. We'd really appreciate the support for that series. And of course, Slayfest starting on Wednesday night on Steven's channel, then Thursday night back here with us. So we hope that you guys can hang out with us. And if nothing else, please stop by the streams, give them a like. It's really, really, it's really, really helpful. It truly is. Mega Giant saying if Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie returns in the next film in the franchise, what would you like to see from the characters? Well, that I'll just tease this. I would just love to have them come back. That could be something for a video or a live stream down the road, but I definitely want to see them again. I think they're great characters and they're good actors with good chemistry. So, yeah. All right. Okay, so I will catch you guys later. Take it easy. And as always, if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, you are the Night Watch. Peace out, guys.